Morning, welcome to another episode of the London Predator Angler. As you can see, we've had a bite, first cast, so stick around and hopefully we'll have a few more. I might have picked up your grill.
Keith's had another bite, another fish. Just hooked, you got him, Keith? On my little float as well that I made him. Fantastic, well in, Keith.
Yes, boy.
So that's number 2 after about an hour. So quite a few runs so far. Well done, matey. Let's have a look at him. So, Mr. Weller has had a second fish. We've only been here about an hour, haven't we, mate?
That's it, mate.
How big do you reckon? I'll say about 4.
Only a little jack, but a real plump one. It's got a real belly on him.
Yeah, been feeding up, haven't they, mate?
Yeah.
Feeding
Second
up well.
fish, been here about an hour. Second fish of the day, 2 jack pike, so
sweet.
Just hoping for a bigger one.
They're proper feeding up, mate, for the females, for spawning, I reckon.
Lovely colours on this one though, from a river fish. Look,
it's right. To get 2 bites though within like an hour, it's pretty good. Well, you've had more than 2 bites, but yeah, to land 2 fish.
I've had a couple of drop takes as well, so.
Sweet. Well, we're getting back, fella. Crocodile time! Go on, Keith, he's in again. Yes, well, that's a bigger fish this time. I don't know how big it is. Oh, it looks like a double. Oh, that's Keith's biggest off the river. That's a nice fish. Just hooked as well. Yeah, Weller. Are you right?
Yeah, mate.
That's a lot bigger fish. That's near double, if a double at all. That's a big, yeah, it's a big fish. That took as soon as he's recast his bait back out. That's 3,
yes, boy.
3 fish. Weller, skins.
Yes, boy.
Touch. Oh, mate, that is well made up for you. Oh, I've got the snivels at the moment, but I'm so pleased. That's 3 fish for Keith. He's just cast that out. I've watched him just bait up as I'm resetting up my rod, and he's just cast out, and he's had a looks like a near double.
Drop, is it?
Yeah,
it's tightening the clutch.
It's definitely taking it on the drop. So what we're going to do is we're going to rest the fish in the net while we get set up. I'm going to get the scales out because we didn't weigh the other 2 fish. The other 2 fish are like 4 or 5 pounds respectively, but this one looks like it's a good double. So we'll get, like I say, we'll leave it in the net, let it rest up, and we'll get ourselves salted, and we'll bring you back, and I'll show you this impressive fish that Keith's got. Fantastic! Oh my good God! Look at the size of that.
Yeah, that might be a PB. There's a belly on it, mate.
Well, what is it? 15 pound odd your PB, isn't it?
14.8 was it or something? 14.
No, it's 15 pounds something. 15.3, 15.4. We'll have to double check, but it is over 15 pounds your PB. We are going to weigh this afterwards. We'll put it back in for another rest, but we're going to unhook it now. So I'm just going to stop for the moment so we can get this fish sorted. Right, so Keith, he's just had another PB. This is 15 pound 8 ounce. What a lovely, lovely fish. How do you feel, Keith?
Well, it's just beat my personal best by 2 ounces.
Yeah, we just checked, didn't we, while the fish was resting.
15 pound 6. Now we're 15 pound 8. A lovely big gill.
She's beautiful.
I'm over the moon.
Oh, and she took on a drop, didn't she? That was amazing. I'm so pleased you're having a wicked session.
Stunning.
Wicked.
Get in there. Let's get her back.
Yeah, let's get her back, mate. So, just filmed her, done a really quick snap with Keith. So she's been rested a couple of times, weighed, and now we're just putting her in the net gently, letting her recover so she can go back. Well pleased with Keith. That's his 3rd fish today. Took on the drop. There she goes down into the deep. Goodbye, girl. Fantastic. Yes, Weller. Well done, mate. I'm well pleased with you. Top man. Right, folks, so finally I've got my ugly mug on camera. Sorry if I sound a little bit bunged up. I've not been too good recently, but I'm just coming through the end of it. So far, as you can see, Weller's really having it up. First fish was about £5 poundish. We say it was quite a fat little fish. He had that on lamprey. Absolutely fantastic bite, really nice to watch, especially on my floats that I've made for him. It's really good. They work really well, so he's putting them through the paces as prototypes. Then he had a second fish not that long after, and that was a little piggy fat one. That was about 4.5, maybe £5. Guesstimation, we didn't weigh those ones, we wanted to get them back in the water. So you've seen both of those as well. And then literally 10 minutes ago, Keith, we were sitting there chatting, and I was re-rigging my rod, and Keith re-put his bait out after catching the last one. As soon as the bait landed in the margin, in the little reed bed just in front of us, went again. So he's had 2 fish from the same spot. Went again on a smelt, and yeah, he ended up being a new PB for him. And his first 3 fish from the Secret River as well. Done a couple of sessions down here, and he's never had one off the Secret River, so it's fantastic to see. And yeah, I'm sure at some point, maybe later on, if we got time, we'll have a look at the rig that he's been catching the fish on. But yeah, £15.8. So he's beat his PB by 2 ounces, which is nice to get a PB. It would have been nice if it was obviously a bigger margin, but it wasn't. But it was fantastic, really fat fish, and got some really nice photos, which I'll insert into the film for you to have a look at. But yes, I'm doing something a little bit different from Keith. He's just standard dead baiting. He's using 2 dead bait setups, 2 dead bait floats. Like I say, we'll have a little look in a moment what he's doing. But I've actually got a float paternoster set up, and I'm also trying to catch live bait at the moment, but keep getting interrupted by Keith's pike, so I'm finding it very difficult to get a bait. So I'm going to see how it goes. It's very difficult. I'm not getting no bites on the maggots at the moment, which is really strange. But if I can get myself a live bait, then all well and good. But I'm going to give it to about 12 o'clock, and if I find I'm lagging or not being able to catch one, I'll be a fool not to follow in Keith's footsteps and swap my rod over to a dead bait setup. But we're going to persevere, see if we can get ourselves a little live bait, because if they're taking dead baits the way they are, feeding up for spawning, then I shouldn't have too much problems catching a fish on a live bait once I finally get one. So we'll bring you back in a little while, and we'll see how we're getting on. But it's only been about 2 hours so far.
Catch a bass and eat it.
There's nothing wrong with sea fishing. My boss sea fishes all the time.
Yeah, but they catch what they call whiting and things like that.
Yeah, whiting, pouting, cod, bass,
Little flatties and things like that. But
flatfish. No, the only thing that don't appeal to me with sea fishing is when you're casting out on the beach and you're just luzzing out a massive, great big rig with about 1,000 hooks on it. And
I don't mind that. Each to their own, you know. For some people,
yeah,
they go,
of course.
Sitting here,
Exactly, it's had to piss out of us
fishing.
what we're doing.
But if you're going to go sea fishing, you've got to go out on a boat and go for something.
Substantial. Yeah, exactly.
Go proper fishing, like big fishing.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Go somewhere abroad and go like marlin or
Oh yeah,
like
so
Dorado or
like everybody can go and afford to fish for marlin and Dorado.
no, not can't afford to, but just like I don't know, Robson Green does it.
Yeah, gets funded by Channel 5 at the time. No, sea fishing, it's never appealed to me apart from, I mean, sea fishing, I'd like to do it, but like the beach fishing side I find boring.
Maybe off a pier.
Yeah, off a pier of rocks or something, yeah.
I don't like catch a bass because you can eat the bass, I suppose. But
well, yeah, I think there's restrictions on them at the moment.
that's what it's saying here, isn't it? In the
Free bass at the
in
moment.
the freshwater informant, it's saying 1 fish per day.
Yeah, you got to have it over a certain
Till
size as
April
well.
to October.
Yeah. But my boss, he loves sea fishing, and Dan, my friend, loves sea fishing as well.
You want to see if they take you with them, mate?
He has. He's taken me once before. He took me down Dungeness way, and we ended up breaking down. We were sitting there for hours. But he caught loads of bass, and I think he had a cod, and he had loads of other little fish. I don't know.
You
what
might be
they were.
better at that than you are at pike fishing, mate.
Think it's funny, didn't you? Getting all sexual. Just because you had your sexy sausages, that's going to give you gut rot.
Yeah, might disappear in a minute.
Oh mate, how you ate them? I don't know how you ate them.
It was alright.
Like you said, it's going to go 2 ways. They're going to be really nice. It's going to give you the pups.
It's always worry I don't cook them properly.
Cook them?
They were black, so they must have been alright.
Not non-stick pan, mate. What was that situation? Did you not put no oil in there? Just
No, they're full of fat and that anyway. They cook in their own fat.
yeah, look, bacon does because it's got a higher water content, moisture content. But when you're cooking sausages, you put a tiny little bit of oil.
No.
You just cook them straight into your ridge monkey. I'm surprised you're going to get it out your ridge monkey now. Stuck to the bottom of it. No, man.
I don't think she'll ever see this. I'll get away with saying it, but Vita will just have to. She gets the washing up.
Oh, let the women do the job. She's going to do you tan your eye. I'm going to send this to her personally.
All the feminists are going to be on.
I'm going to send this to her personally, mate.
That's why I bought her a dishwasher.
You're getting no sexual favours tonight, mate.
I get it anyway, mate. I've got 2 kids indoors.
Oh, I don't know. The crap you talk when you're fishing with your mates, eh?
So you're going to talk us through why you've given up your quiver tipping for live baits?
Well, I might as well, seeing as we're sitting here.
The master's become the apprentice.
Well,
That's copy me.
it's about 11 o'clock, and I was just like, I've had enough. Can't catch a live bait. Sitting here with quiver tips and just hardly any movement. There's hardly any small fish topping, but there's loads of pike movement. So I thought, do you know what? Keith's had 3 fish. He's had about 5 bits of interest on his baits. And I thought, oh, I can't be having this. So I quickly swapped my paternoster rig over to just a ledger dead bait setup that I can sort of move if I need to, move up and fish it as a roving setup if I want to do that, if I do catch a live bait. But I did have the intention to use a paternoster so I can pull it against a feature, because just in front of me, which you don't see, which I'll show you in a bit, is an island, and I wanted it right against the island in the middle of the river. But yeah, unfortunately,
just in the break of the current. Yeah.
Well, that's what I've got at the moment with a piece of lamprey on. So you've had your first fish on lamprey, and your second fish, and your biggest fish you've had on what was it again? Smelt. So yeah,
the water's down a lot though. Especially for the time of year, we've not had a lot of rain, have we? And it's been really mild, so it's down at 3 or 4 foot. It's really down.
Yeah, it's proper down. Yeah.
I mean, the river's only sort of about 3 or 4 foot deep. It's normally sort of 6, 7 foot.
Well, it's the wrong call really, because like Keith had in mind to fish how he was normally going to fish, which is use dead baits, static basically. And I was going to do the exact same and then bring a lure rod with me. And I thought, nah, what I'll do is I'll bring one rod, set it up as a paternoster, and then the other rod just do a bit of quiver tipping and just catch an odd live bait, stick it on, and then the other times I can see if I can catch some chub or perch.
I've quiver tipped down here before, haven't I? And
that's right.
Sort of.
You've had quite a few silvers.
Yeah, I caught some decent roach and some little chub, gudgeon. Had quite a good day quiver tipping. And when we first sort of came down here, I fished one bit like what you were doing today. Fished one rod for pike, but sat there and fished. I think I fished like liquidised bread or a little ground bait feeder. And
it was actually on the first video that we made together. And if you want to watch that, I'll put it in the top right hand corner so you can have a little look. But that was the first time we come down here. And
strange, however, over the last couple of hours,
that's right.
Not a touch on the maggot feeder. So it'd have been good to get some live baits and then.
Yeah, just to fish a little different to you, but obviously live baits is not something you necessarily need today because you've been smashing them out on the deads.
Well, that said, it's been an hour and a half now since I last had a bite. So
feeding spells.
The feeding spells perhaps gone now for.
Plus the last fish was a big fish, so it might have spooked all the other fish off around the area possibly, but at the end of the day, you know, the fish are going to be feeding up because it is mild and it is getting a lot warmer now. They're going to start thinking about spawning. And to be fair, the fish that Keith had all had bits of belly on them. They had a bit of a tubby belly on them, so they're obviously feeding up. So we're hoping before we leave, because we've still got a good 5 hours left to go, that we can at least bag another fish each.
And we've probably got another 300 yards down to our left.
Yeah, we can always go roaming.
With river, so we can. Try another couple of spots in the bit, I suppose.
If I actually do that, it's another matter, but I know Keith will.
Already getting itchy feet.
Oh, mate. Itchy feet. Well, there's a basin behind us as well. I've seen a few fish swirling in there, so maybe fish the basin.
Yeah. I know you sort of say to me all the time it doesn't really matter about depth, but
no, it doesn't.
It's really pretty shallow in there, though.
Yeah, well,
like I said, the water depth's already down quite a bit, but
so what? So the fish discriminate against depth?
Yeah, but could only be 2-3 foot in there.
Yeah, this is what you need to get your head round. And I had the same conversation with a friend of ours called Jack. You know Jack, he's featured in videos as well. sometimes it takes a little while for people to get their head around certain scenarios, especially when you're new to that style of fishing. And what I always say to someone, and it was the same with me when I first started piking, you should try and get your head around the fact that you can't not catch a pike in 18 inches or a foot of water. I mean, I remember years ago, I read a story about a 39-pound pike on the Royalty was caught in 18 inches of water. So it's, you know what I mean, there's nothing saying you can't catch fish in shallow water. I mean, chub, you always see numerous times you catch them in shallow water, and barbel. And pike are no different. You know, pike will feed in shallow water. Put a bait in front of them, and they want it, they'll have it. You know, obviously we always look to deeper holes, don't we? We always grown up when we're fishing to fish deeper holes as a carp angler or whatever. You know, to put bait into deeper areas of lakes. But yeah, you've got to realise that, you know, pike will take from shallow water.
I just the temperature of the water is what I'm more alluding to. Oh man.
Yeah, sorry folks, you probably heard that cow. There's a cow in the field just behind us that made that sort of rumbling noise.
Motorboating between your butt cheeks, yeah.
Got the farts, I can't help it. I've got the fart. That's wrong, wasn't it?
You're
sweaty as well.
Oh, too much information, mate.
Yeah, it is. Never mind. I wanted to share that with the folks. Thanks, Keith. I was trying to palm it off as a cow behind us.
A cow. Yeah. Trod on a duck.
Trod on a duck. Anyway, I need the loo. I'm dying for a wee.
Gonna edit that bit out.
No way, I'm not editing nothing. Okay, so let me give you a little tour around the swim, like I said I would. So this is my swim in front of me. You've seen it before in other videos. Fishing the Secret River, as we call it. So there's a little island in front. And what I did plan on doing, just out here to the point, so I was going to have a paternoster. And I was going to alternate between the point to the far side bank of the river, because I've had quite a few fish off that far side. I've had a few fish to this point. Now, there's a little gully that runs into a basin. Now, there's a basin just behind us. Seen a few fish in now in that basin, and I was just quiver tipping all around this area using a maggot feeder, and couldn't get no bites. So I may have a little go on a maggot feeder again, but I had it specifically that rod you're seeing in front of me set up as a paternoster rig, so I can fish against the feature. Now, I could put a free roving live bait on now, because it's now set up as a free roving setup with a 15 gram weight and a 15 gram float. So I could theoretically pull the stop knot down and obviously fish it up in the water. Now, you could use a live bait on the bottom, but it could get snagged up. There's a lot of snags this time of the year, especially on this particular river. A lot of sort of dead weed beds and that, and that's the last thing I want to do. So, like I say, I could put a live bait on there if I do catch one and fish it free roving. The problem is you know, Keith's fishing next to me. As you can see, his rod's there. He's not right next to me, but I don't want to keep amending my float all the time. And obviously letting the fish swim into snags and stuff like the island or the far bank. So that's the reason why I was going to use a paternoster setup. But it's 11 o'clock, it's just gone 11 now, and I was sitting here for the last 3 hours, and I couldn't catch a bait. And I was like, seeing Keith have 5 knocks and landed 3 fish instantly. I should have just really come today with using dead baits and then bring my lure rod. But I opted to try and do something a little bit different for you guys. I was going to run you through my paternoster setup, and I was going to run you through my quiver tip rods, and hopefully it would have gone that way for me. And then Keith was just going to stick to his conventional type of fishing, but you know, it never went that way. Or, you know, I've had to try and sort of know when I'm defeated a little bit, and see if I can try and pick up a fish on a dead bait at the moment. But it has gone quiet, so maybe it was a feeding spell early this morning, but you never know when a fish can pick one up. So that's how I'm fishing at the moment. And you've got Keith's just fishing, so he's got one out just down in this reed bank on our close side bank. There's a little reed bed there on our close side bank. I've had plenty of fish from there in the past. And then in the next swim past the tree, which is probably about 15 metres away, just take Keith about 5 seconds to get there. There's another rod that he's got out with ledgered lamprey on a float ledger setup. So yeah, he's just fishing static dead baits at the moment. And like I say, I was going to fish live baits, but that's kind of gone a bit belly up at the moment. Like I say, I do apologise for my cold, the way I'm speaking at the moment. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. But yeah, so we've still got another, like I say, 4.5, 5 hours left to go, and hopefully we can get another fish. So Keith's had a PB already, you know, so we're buzzing over that. We're having a bit of banter, having a bit of laugh with each other. So that'd be really, really nice if we can get myself a double, and then we've had a double in the same video. It'd be really good. But stick with us, and hopefully we'll have another update for you in a short while.
Raw, there's a dead MC on the floor.
Who's that standing above him? He's got a microphone and it's pointed in this direction.
I think it might be MC Grinder.
Who?
MC Grinder.
So I've given up on the trying to catch a live bait at the moment, and I'm just quiver tipping some worm instead of maggots really, and see if I can pull myself a perch or a chub, and lo and behold, got myself a little perch. Not massive, probably about 6 ounces. It's just nice to have a species actually have a fish, and it was one of the main reasons why I bought the quiver tip really, so I could do a little bit of quiver tipping, and like I say, to catch live baits, but also to catch little fish like this really, to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of sport. It'd be nice if we can catch one maybe a pound bigger, but I'd say about 6 ounces, nah, 7 at most maybe. But yeah, lovely little fish, as you can see.
Displaying his dorsal for you.
He is displaying his dorsal, isn't he? Yeah, I'm well pleased with that. It's a little fat piggy one. Pristine condition actually.
Might even go 10, 12 ounces, mate. It's not a bad fish.
It's a lot smaller than 12 ounces. But anyway, let's get this little one back and continue with the worms, with the maggot and the feeder, and hopefully we can get something a little bit bigger. But at least I've had a fish and not a blank. So it's a pike and a perch in the same video. Fantastic, beautiful little creatures. So I just thought I'd show you what I'm doing at the moment. Obviously, I said I've gone back to quiver tipping after seeing that perch. So I'll show you what tackle I'm using. I bought this specifically for this type of fishing actually. I quiver tipping on small rivers really. I've got a little 1500 Stradic. Really nice little reel that is, with a rear drag on it. Doesn't matter really what reel, but it matches the rod because the rod's only 9 foot. It's a Erinos Shimano winkle picker. I think winkle picker could be a term used in Holland. I believe they use a lot of these rods on the continent and in Holland. Basically, it's a 9 foot feeder rod. As you can see there, absolutely lovely little rod. You get 3 tips with it, and it's only 9 foot, like I say. I don't think you can see too well at the moment. See if I can zoom in. Yeah, you can see the tips just there. On the tip, you can see there's a little red tip, and that's all it comes with on the 3 tips. But what I've done, if I go a little bit closer, you can see there's 3 little white bandings. And what I've done with that is, rather than sort of paint it, so the paint can peel off, that kind of thing, or if you paint it and then put epoxy over the top, it'll make it very rigid. So what I've done is just put 3 little white tippets, and what I've done with that is I've used my thread I use my float making. So I've about 1 centimetre each size, and then I've epoxied over the top of those, so it doesn't make the tip very rigid. What it does is it just gives me that little bit of differential colour, so it's not just that little red tip, because sometimes with eyesight as poor as mine, it's very difficult to see. Oh, as you can see, I just had a little knock then, so let's bring that back. So I'm hoping to get some more perch or even a chub. But I've got a dead bait out as well, again, just over there on the edge of that, on the edge of the island in the middle of the river. So I'm hoping to possibly pick up a nice fish on that one. Hopefully, I'm angling for a double. It'd be really nice. I've got a nice big lamprey section out, just on the edge. So we'll see if we get anything on that one. Keith's decided to have a little bit of a snooze, so I'm watching these rods as well. Still got one in the basin behind us, and he's had a run from now. Don't know if I've mentioned it for camera, but he's had a run in the basin, which is probably about, I'd say, 15 foot away from us, the rod. So it's not too far. Take 2 seconds to get on the rod, and he's had a run on there already, and we've seen quite a few fish in now. He's very sceptical about fishing in sort of shallow water, but after about 10 minutes he had a small jack tear off of his bait, and his other one, it's just down where he's had his bait most of the time, and he's had his 2 fish from, which is sort of just on the reed bank here, near margin. So yeah, I'm hoping, like I say, I can pull a few more feeder fish or quiver tip fish out. It'd be really nice, some more perch or some chub hopefully. But yeah, I'll update you if we get any more. But really enjoying today. It's about 1 o'clock now, so it's about, we'll pack up at 4 and we'll have to be off the fishery by 5. So like I say, I'll give you any more updates if anything materialises. So there's just over an hour left before we need to pack up. Keith's been a kip. He's just woken up. I think he's going to move one of these rods in a moment. But I've just had a run, my first pike run on a lamprey head. I've repositioned it about 20 minutes beforehand. I put it, actually, it was on the edge of the island, as you guys might have seen. I've actually moved it onto the far bank, but I was fishing on top of the ledge. It's like shelves down, and there's like a shelf, and it drops into the main river. So I was fishing just on the shelf, and yeah, give it plenty of time. I was moving my my other rod out of the way because I'm doing a bit of quiver tipping, and yeah, stuck into it, had it on, played it up to just in front of me, but I knew it was a small fish. It was probably about £1, £1.5. It wasn't very big at all. So I know it would have been nice having my first pike of this year. I'm not too disheartened that it was only a really tiny fish like that, really. I would have been gutted if it had been a big one or a double or something like that. But yeah, so it's an hour left. I've put the quiver back out again. You know, if I get a silverfish, then I'll probably pull it on for an hour or so. If not, you know, it'd be nice to get a nice perch or chub like I'm fishing for. But you know, like I say, got 1 hour left. Keith's gonna do, he's repositioned one rod, and he's the rod that was in the basin he's now moving. He's moving it further down the bank where he had his fish earlier on. So yeah, it's one last push. Fingers crossed, hopefully we'll bag something within the last hour, at least one of us. The light levels, it was really sunny a minute ago while Keith was asleep, to the point of where I was going to take my fleece off, but the sun's gone in now, and it's drawn a little bit of a nip. It's gone a bit cool again, so maybe that difference in light temperature could make a difference. But in saying that, the water's quite coloured, so we'll see. But like I say, there's an hour left, and then we'll come back with either a fish or a conclusion, I suppose, or an ending to the video. But we'll see. So fingers crossed. Last hour. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, sorry about the weird camera angle. It's the end of session. I'm in the car now. Keith's just popped into the hut to speak to the man and pick some bits up. And I'm sitting in the car, obviously. Like I say, it's the end of the session. What to take from today, really. Keith had 6 runs in all, 6 or 7 runs. 1 or 2 fish dropped. I think 1 fish dropped, 2 fish dropped, and he landed 3. The most important thing is he landed 3. One of those was obviously his PB at 15 pound 8 ounce, so he's beat his old PB by 2 ounces, which, you know, it's nice to up your PB. 2 ounces, fair enough, but what's undeniable is he's had another double and another big fish. What was really interesting about those 3 fish is that they were all awkwardly hooked. Now, that wasn't anything that Keith had done wrong in striking. It was perfect. It's just they were really in awkward areas, which was really nice of me off camera to actually show Keith how to deal with those, you know. And we managed to get the fish back nice, safe and sound, and back into the water. And he's over the moon. He's learned so much in his session. He's getting more confident with his handling as well, just the same as anybody that's learning how to pike fish. You know, handling, you know, it can be a little bit unnervy at first, especially when you're not used to it. Keith likes using a glove, and if it makes him feel better than using it, then that's a good thing. I started off with a glove when I first started as well, very briefly, and I know quite a few top anglers that use gloves as well, so there's nothing wrong with using a glove. So it's a specially designed one, and it'll stop nicks on his fingers and stuff like that. But no, his confidence in terms of the handling is fantastic. So he's learned a hell of a lot today. He's learned also about the fact that you shouldn't be scared about fishing in shallow water. The basin was only about a foot and a half, if that, and I kept saying to him, pull it in the basin. I've seen fish in the basin all day, pull it in the basin. No, he couldn't get his head around the fact that it was shallow, and I said to him, put it in the basin. So he decided to put it in the basin, just give it a go for an hour, and what happens 10 minutes later, he has a run. I mean, granted the jack was only about 1.5 pounds, but he had a run all the same, so it proved my point that the depth of the water, especially when pike fishing, means nothing. I told him the story about a royalty pike that was a 39 pound pike that was caught in 18 inches of water, so 1.5 foot. It plays no bounds. It all depends on where the pike are, what time of the year, and where they're willing to feed, and that's exactly proved the point. So he's learnt that the fact that you shouldn't shy away from shallow water and not always look for deep holes when you're fishing for fish, especially pike. Anyway, yeah, learned a lot. I personally, I had a drop run, as you heard. I think I may have mentioned it. I had a drop run. It was only a jack of about 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. So although it would have been my first jack or first pike of the season, I'm not wholeheartedly disappointed. I'm actually very glad that I saw Keith catch a pike. I had a run, fair enough. I was only fishing one pike rod today, so I wanted to do something a little bit different by live baiting. I found it very difficult catching live baits. I persevered with the quiver tip, but what I did tend to do, once I caught a bait, I was meant to put a live bait on the paternoster, send the paternoster rod out there, and then step up to using bigger baits like worms and try and, you know, hopefully catch a perch or a chub or something like that. And that's exactly what happened. I ended up catching a little perch of about 5-6 ounces. So yeah, I really can't complain about that, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's it really for the session. Not a really long one, not the best session in the world, but it was good for Keith because obviously he had a PB. So look out for the next one, because me and Keith are going to hopefully be doing a 36 hours in a couple of weeks' time, just before the end of the season, the last sort of few days before the end of the season, and hopefully I'll get out on the bank between now and then. But thanks for watching. Tightline and Dead Baits. Make sure you subscribe and you know, follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I always update a lot on Instagram and Facebook, and yeah, drop me your comments and give me a thumbs up, and I'll catch you all again soon. Once again, Tightline and Dead Baits, and have a good last bit of the season for yourselves, lads.